Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm Reverend Tomas, and we're at question 25 today in the Manual for Teachers. And this is fun. This is a fun one. It's, are psychic powers desirable? Ooh, yeah, let's get into that, shall we? Are psychic powers desirable? And point worth noting, psychic is in quotation marks. This is important. Throughout the remainder of this dialogue, I'll be referring to so-called psychic powers, so-called otherworldly or so-called extraordinary powers. I'll explain why. And my hope is that as we talk, this becomes more and more apparent. So, well, are psychic powers desirable? Interesting question. A number of you have them. I know some of you, and I know for a fact, based on conversations that we've had or your social media posts, that you do have them. And if you really say you do and you don't, well, that's fine, but you're clearly open to them. So, no judgment here, right? You're clearly open to them. And if you don't have them, I want to have you pay attention anyway, because what I'm about to say applies to every single one of us. Nobody has any powers that you don't have. Ooh, how about that? Nobody has any powers or abilities that you do not also possess. Round three, in terms of repetition, nobody has any powers or abilities that you do not also possess. You're just as capable as any single one of us of appearing as connected, as tuned in, as psychic as anyone else. How can I say this with this 100% conviction and certainty? We're one. There is no separation of any kind. One power belongs to all of us. Okay? If you don't have the ability to talk to dead people or to heal the sick with just your hands, if you don't move rocks like Luke Skywalker, if you're not a tarot card reader or someone that is an intuitive coach, it doesn't make any difference. You're just as welcome here. This course is completely all inclusive and universal. This message is for everyone. So, what's going on with all of the so-called psychic powers that people have here in the world? Well, again, you may have them and you may not. But what's going on here is you're seeing when someone uses or expresses one of these so-called psychic powers, you're seeing that this person has, in part at least, recognized some of the limits that we put on communication here in the world, and they've gone beyond them to some degree. We limit ourselves in the world, and it is very apparent, isn't it, how blatantly we do that. It's all out of fear. When we identify with the ego, we wall ourselves off, and in so doing, we block channels of communication, don't we? We block them. We block them off. We block off things like thought transfer. We deny our intuition. I mean, of course we do, if we're denying our own reality and thinking we're this thing called a human being, encased in this thing called a body. Of course, we're going to deny a lot of our own ability if we do that, right? What you see is when someone is involved with one of these powers, you're seeing an ability that you also possess because of our oneness. And you're also seeing that, okay, this is an example of another way of communicating that is not necessarily accepted all the time in the world. Now, these powers, these abilities are becoming more and more accepted. And perhaps it's just the circles that I run in as a spiritual teacher. But I will tell you that my social media feed is jam packed with psychics and mediums and intuitive coaches, things of the like. Again, the important message to take away from all of this is nobody has any abilities that you do not also possess. Now, is it going to be part of your journey to develop and express these? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's not 100% necessary at all. And in fact, it may not be part of your journey at all. Just know that no one is more special than you. So if you've got these, you're not more special than anyone else. I know, right? You can tell your business marketing coach that I said, you're not more special than anyone else. I'm not more special than anyone else. Hell, I'm a student of this course right alongside you, but it's part of my calling to turn the microphone and camera on, and it gives me joy to share with you. Now, it may give you joy if you're a medium or a tarot card reader or some form of a psychic, right? It may give you tremendous joy, and I hope that it does. Here's the deal. These powers, these communication abilities, can be put to tremendous and powerful and beneficial use if you want them to. The simple answer here is give them over to the Holy Spirit. Give them over to your guide. Give them over to your inner teacher. Yeah, do that. That is a way of ensuring they are used for good and maximum benefit, because as we all know, the ego can attempt to weasel its way in and corrupt these and make it a cult of personality. A me, look at me. Here's what I just did. I talked to the dad. All right. Give the power over to the Holy Spirit. It will know what to do with it always for maximum benefit. The ego can seep in and creep in and corrupt anything. So we're not saying don't have a spiritual based business. I've got one. This is part of it. So that's not what anyone is saying. Just give it over to your inner teacher so you can rest assured that it's put to good and beneficial use, because we all see everyone's social media and people can smell bullshit a mile away. Why? Because we all have intuition. You could deny that all you want, say, I'm not very intuitive. You do have intuition, and we know what's genuine and what isn't. So, this is if you have these powers, you're not special. I am not special in any way. There's nothing special about me in this sense. I'm simply answering the call. The call is universal, and we all hear it all the time. It goes out, we hear it. The question is, do we answer it? That is why there are so few people, comparative, relative to the world population, deeply and truly involved in the spiritual path, isn't it? It's because not everyone answers the call. We become afraid and limit ourselves, hence the limit on communications. So, are these psychic powers desirable? They can be put to very powerful use if you choose to give them over to your inner teacher. That's what I do. That's what I do. So, I don't know who may be watching. I have no idea. I mean, this is pre recorded. So, anyone at any point in time, in theory, even years from now, could go back and watch this video. And if I don't show up right now and speak, then I'm not fulfilling my role as a teacher. My job is to simply show up and share with you. So, what falls under the umbrella of psychic powers? Well, a lot of things, a lot of things. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in them or not. You may think that people touting themselves as having these abilities are full of it. And if you do, that's all right. So what, right? That's the, if you do, you do. It's kind of like the last video, is reincarnation so? I mean, do we reincarnate? Are we reborn? Well, the question is that helpful to you? Is the idea helpful? If yes, run with it. If not, you don't have to adopt it. So if you don't feel so-called psychic powers are desirable, so what? You don't feel they're desirable. Just know that there is nothing special about any one of us. We all have the same capability. Why? We're created as one. And that is wholeness, oneness. It may not be in your path or your trajectory to have or develop any of these in this lifetime. And if it's not, so what? This course applies to you. This message applies to you just the same as if you're deeply involved in these. Really, it's exactly the same. Do we give it over to our inner teacher or do we not? If we do, which is what we should do, fantastic. We can rest assured that it's going to be used to maximum beneficial effect throughout time, by the way. Maximum beneficial effect. That's what we're being instructed to do. Give it over to our inner teacher. In the service of awakening, in the service of truly extending love, these particular gifts are magnificent, but only if they're given over. Otherwise, there is every possibility that the ego will cause you to latch on to your so-called elevated specialness. So, something to think about. I'll just close with repeating the idea that no single one of us, not me, not the Dalai Lama, not any one of us possesses any ability that the rest of us do not possess. Thank you for joining me.